It's Monday, March 21st. You've got Goose, and you're entering into the core, brought to you by Flux, the decentralized infrastructure running Web 3.0. Check us out at runonflux.io. Today, we're going to be interviewing Joerg and Gareth of the Tympy project. Tympy is a decentralized search engine powered by you for you. And these days, this is becoming a bit more of an important endeavor because a lot of the search engines out there are centralized, meaning they're running from centralized data centers. And not only that, there are organizations or corporations that are controlling the data that is being allowed out. In other words, certain searches can be filtered, and that happens from country to country, depending on certain laws that may be in place, or for who knows what other reasons. They could be arbitrary, they could not be. I'm not really sure, but nevertheless, everybody's not getting full access to the data that is out there. So how do we get around this? Well, decentralizing that structure could be one possibility, and Tympy may have a solution for us there. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get into this interview. Joerg, Gareth, welcome to the core.
Thank you.
Hi, Goose.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here.
It's good to have you on the core. And as I had mentioned in the intro, you are part of Tympy, and Tympy is a decentralized search engine. And it's actually one of the first projects to go through KD launch. And I recently spoke with Jermaine and Nilo of KD launch, and I thought maybe we could learn a little bit about your experience with KD launch.
Yeah, I can take that one, shall I, Joerg? So quite early on in the when we were looking at where we were going to launch Tympy, we were looking at Kadena because Kadena in general, we support the network, we like what they're doing, and so we reached out to the IDO platforms there, the Launchpad, and KD launch really stuck out in our minds, really, because of, well, first of all, they're the first to market, and so we also wanted to be first to market. So there was their ability to get in there quickly, but also their level of professionalism and our shared enthusiasm for the Kadena network as well. So yeah, we like very much the way they are running KDL and developing it. They're doing it in a secure and very professional way, and so they're just very easy to work with, and I think they've got a bright future in the Kadena network.
Nice.
They're obviously official partners as well, so I think it was naturally an obvious place for us to launch with.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm glad that you had a good experience, and we'll take that sort of unsolicited testimonial out there for Jermaine and Nilo. So how about, just to get to know you guys a little bit, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background, what it is that brought you to Tympy, or maybe what brought you together to work on this particular project. Maybe we'll start with Joerg.
Yes, let me start. So my background is information security. So I'm by trade an information security guy for nearly, 25 years now. And in the last decade or so, there is a lot more in terms of cybersecurity. So 7 years ago, I started founding a cyber intelligence business. And for that, I developed a decentralized search function, or a search solution, which goes through internet, social media, and the dark web to collect information that could harm the customer of dark scope. So in the area of cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. During this time and during working on dark scope, it appeared to be clear that we do have an issue with today's information handling. So when we look into breaches from the past and so on, there is a lot of personal information out there. And one of the main contributors to this is the search engine. So if we look at Google or if we look at Bing, they store a lot of information about the user. They track the user. They know what the user does all around the internet. So, and that was basically the trigger for me to come up with Tympy, because I like to have, and I like to believe that it should be possible to develop a search engine that does not need to track the user. It does not need to use the personal information of the user, but still providing really good search results. Because after all, what it is we are looking for is mostly keywords. We're looking for products, services, whatever it is. And it has, in most cases, nothing to do with me personally. So I will not search for why do I have a headache, but I will search for what can I do when I have a headache. So I don't need to know as a search engine, does my user has a headache or not? I don't need to know it. Google does. So that was the starting point for Timpi. And I worked with Gareth before, so Gareth and I, we know us for a couple of years now. And it's a really great synergy, what we create and how we work together. So it works really in a very good way. It's very professional. We both come from traditional business background, you can say. So and we do share different, or we have a set of different capabilities within the business within Timpi now, where I'm more the technology guy and doing the back end and so on, and Gareth is more the business running, operations and delivery. So that's how it came to be. But Gareth,
yeah, it's been 5 years.
Okay.
We've been working together. It's been a lot.
Time must fly, huh?
Time flies. Yeah. So yeah, so it's as Joerg said, our skills are very complementary, and in fact, not just between us, but we've got a whole team of exceptional people, which cover many different skill sets, which I can move on to in a moment as well, because it's not just Joerg and I. We've got a team of 12 other people behind us who are doing a lot of work as well. So my background is in IT consultancy. Before I got into the crypto side of things, I've been working as an IT consultant implementing ERP systems for large organizations over the last 15 years. And really that's from a business perspective. So it's about managing those projects to overlay the business operations and the business goals and requirements into technology, and seeing how we can merge the technology with the business operations. So that's my background. That's where I come from. What's great now that we're working in the crypto space is just doing that for a technology that I believe in. I believe in blockchain from a philosophical perspective, and back what's happening with the blockchain and decentralization. And so it's great to be able to kind of move from that traditional business model into the crypto side of things. And I think both Joerg and I are quite passionate about what blockchain technology means in terms of freedom of information, what it means in terms of transparency, and security for people. We do believe that it is the future. There's so many use cases for blockchain in general, and we're really excited to be part of this huge change in society, but also this growth of technology. I mean, we're still at the infancy of blockchain technology, and being the first fully genuinely decentralized search engine puts us in a really strong position, and yeah, we're really excited to have this opportunity in front of us.
Great. Well, I mean, that's very interesting that you mentioned fully decentralized search engine. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what it is. I mean, Joerg already kind of hinted at it. This, a decentralized web scraper. You did mention it went into the dark web. So,
No.
So is this a mainstream search engine, or like what are we really looking at here? Like, can you give me sort of the breakdown of what is Tympy?
Yeah. So Tympy is the first decentralized search engine that has its own index. It is a normal internet search engine, so there won't be any dark web things. The dark web was more for the cyber intelligence business. So what differentiates Tympy from any other search engine at this point? It is completely independent from anyone else. So if we look at the search market today, we see we have 95% is Google and Bing, and then you have Yandex, and you have something like Baidu, and that's Yandex is a Russian search engine, Baidu is a Chinese search engine, and then it stops. And a search engine, my understanding, or the understanding of a search engine, is they have their own index, so they have their own catalog of what is the internet. If we look at DuckDuckGo or other search engines, they use Google Bing for their search results, so they are not a search engine per se. Tympy is the first search engine which is decentralized. So the biggest challenge for a search engine today is really having a network of crawlers. So that's basically computer systems that go through, go out into the internet and collect all the information. So what the internet is made of. And to do that, you need a lot of computer power.
Yeah.
So for a centralized search engine, that's one of the biggest challenges, because there is a huge investment you have to do upfront in order to be able to have your own index. That problem is solved by decentralization. So Tympy is the first decentralized search engine that does have its own index. It is completely independent, as I said, unbiased, unfiltered, and you can't buy your ranking. And we take care, or we do not care about your privacy. Basically, we do not track you.
Okay.
Every user interaction is as you would use Tympy the first time. So we do not store any information about where you come from, who you are, or whatever it is. Also, when it comes to the ranking, and we know that how it works today with the large search engines. If you search for something, the first 2 pages is paid results. So it's either way advertisement, or it is ranking in terms of the page level, and it's not the true picture of the world. So what Tympy does is showing the true picture of the world, unbiased, unfiltered, and is with its own index and decentralization, independent, and very fast, basically. So we are very quick in updating information.
Excellent. So Gareth, maybe you could talk a little bit about, because you said you really believe in blockchain and the philosophy. How is this index stored? Is that where the blockchain comes in, or like what's the blockchain aspect of Tympy?
So the blockchain aspect is within the rewards system initially. There are some other things we can do in the future, but at the beginning it is just going to be for those rewards. Okay. And so that's linked in. So I can probably talk about a bit around the utility of the token and how that links in with the rewards, if you like.
Sure. But just to kind of get some clarification on this index part, because my understanding with the index is if the corporation, so if you're Google or if you're Bing, that index, you've done all the work to create it, so therefore it's your property, right? And this has actually come up recently in terms of blockchain with certain court cases. If you've been following, going back to November, the ledger is property of whoever can prove to own that, right?
Yeah.
I think ownership is the key there. So what's the story with a decentralized index? How do we get to that point?
So a decentralized index in this case means, or for Tympy, is that we do not store the data in one place, and we do not even know exactly where they are stored. So we have contributors that are so-called guardians, and guardians allow us to use their storage on their computer for the index. So that's the Guardian part. The Guardian can be installed on any computer. There are now special requirements. You need to have a decent size of hard disk, of course, so you can give us some storage. But it's very low entry point in terms of the system requirements you have to comply with. The other one is the collector. The collector is the crawling engine. So the collector, again, is run by the community. So we have contributors who install the collector on their normal computer, and it runs in the background. It does its thing. It does not bother you, and you don't have to know you don't need to be a computer geek to be able to run a collector. It runs basically on its own. You install the software, that's it.
Okay. All right. So basically, whoever's running the application then is helping to decentralize the network that's doing the work of collecting the data. And then it's stored on these Guardian nodes, if you will. Okay. I'd imagine we're going to need a lot of space at some point, though. I mean, I don't know how big a typical search engine's index would be, but it's seeming to me like it's going to be in the petabyte range. Am I right?
It's not that big, actually, because yes, you reduce the content of the website, first of all, into text only, or mainly text.
Okay.
So you store the text because that's where the information is in. And if you compress this text with modern technology, it's really not that big. So we're talking about that we have 200 kilobytes per website in average. So if you compress that, and if you then say the index of Google is roughly about 15 billion pages. So if you're 15 billion pages times 250, we're looking at not that large. So we do need,
amazing,
of course, Terra.
I've never thought about it, so that's why I ask. I mean, I imagine most people would think, oh, there's so much information on Google, it must be, so many bytes. But so when you boil it down to text only, because that's what's being searched. Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. So, and this is going to be stored on just random computers, whoever is running it around the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. All right. So now we've got the idea about the index. Maybe Gareth, you can, kind of give us some information about how to incentivize, because that's the trick, right? Because what's the bonus? Why would I want to run this software?
And there's a few things. So there's two aspects to this. One is what is Tympy doing different for the front end user? So the average guy who wants to stop using Google and using a new search engine, the beautiful infrastructure that we've built, that's not really of interest to these guys, right?
Nope.
Because they want to go on there and they just want to search computers and they want to get good results.
Yeah, that's it.
So there's that side and how we're appealing to that audience, which I can talk about, and then there's the other side, which is the people who are actually going to be contributing to that network and will form our network, and how they're going to be rewarded. So I'll talk about the first set of users at the beginning.
Yeah, that's good. Let's talk about the glitz and the glamour and the things that because I mean, well, the funny thing is, you're talking to one of the people, working with Flux for several years now. I've gotten very down and dirty with the technicals, right? But I would love to hear about what it is for the end user, because like you said, they don't care about what's under the hood. They just want to know it works.
Yeah. But it's because of our the way we're structuring it enables us to be in a unique position to offer them different things. So there's we're going to be very competitive in terms of size and scalability. Taking a decentralized approach will enable us to scale to the size of Google eventually. We'd love to be that size. And we can do that very cost effectively and in an agile way. Mm-hmm. Other people who want to move into the market in a centralized way will have a huge cost of infrastructure. We just don't have that. The other thing, because we've got our actual own index, that enables us to do some unique things to benefit the front end user. There are other search engines out there. They're not search engines per se. They're using other indexes. So they're either like an index aggregator, for example, or someone like DuckDuckGo who uses Google's index.
Right.
Okay. But so having actually our own index and not using anybody else's means that we can, for example, provide a cybersecurity rating for the websites that show up in the results. We'll be the first search engine in the world to do that, and
that's cool.
That's
now,
very cool.
Is that coming from a little bit of like your background with? Okay, all right. What a great addition, though. That's really great. Okay, all right, go on, please.
We've got a demo of it at the moment. We can probably share screenshots. Perhaps you can add it somewhere here or in this chat.
Sure, yeah, we'll do that
when we get the video. But yeah, it's a great function to be able to show people the actual security, and that'll all happen in real time as well in the results. In addition to that, we also have the website reviews. So people will be able to review those websites, and that will also show up against the listing. And both the cybersecurity and that review rating are actually integrated as part of our algorithm, along with many other factors as well. But there are two examples that we believe will really benefit and differentiate Tympy to the front end users, which are unique to us and our technology.
Okay, great. That gives people a leg up then, because I don't know how many people have wandered off into websites that they maybe shouldn't, or websites that have multiple pop-ups. Who knows what's being downloaded in terms of cookies and things like that. So that's very helpful to have a rating there, and then what other people have said about it. Because I don't know about you, but like whenever I'm purchasing something online, I always tend to read the reviews. Now, that's not how I used to purchase probably 10 years ago, but probably within the last decade, more and more of my buying decisions are based off of what other people have to say about a particular product. And I think why not have that for a website? So that's a great idea too. Nice.
And no one's integrating that into the actual algorithm. So currently you want to buy a product and you see a new web store open, you never heard of it, so then as you said, you go and review that, look on review sites, are these reviews legitimate or not, can I trust it? Well, with this, that's all baked into the algorithm. So if a website has thousands of bad reviews, then that's unlikely to be shown at the top of the listing. It's going to be buried down deep.
Right.
So it's all part of this what we're creating is this real world view. So we want to be able to show information as accurately to the real world as possible. So the ones ranked at the top are those that are trusted and secure, providing good data.
Okay. So the only question I would have for that, what is to keep someone from spamming a bunch of positive feedback like they do on Amazon for certain products, and then you end up with like this very high ranking site that's really nothing?
Yeah, I can maybe take that on. So we use AI models. So we use a lot of machine learning. So with my background in machine learning, it was just a logic step to integrate machine learning and artificial intelligence into the project as well. So what we do is you can detect anomalies in any behavior. So that means that if you have a website which normally receives so many reviews, and out of the blue it receives a lot more, that's an anomaly, and then we can see or at least detect what's going on and have a look at it closer. Also, that the reviewer need to have an NFT. So there will be a reviewer NFT, which is a badge, which first of all is used to for the contributor, for the reviewer, to show, hey, I'm doing Timpi reviews, and but also for us to give the assurance that it's not that easy to use bots if you have to have an NFT, if you need to have a wallet and stuff like that. It's not that easy. So that's where we put some barriers in place to prevent that.
All right, that's good. Yeah, because the last thing I think anybody wants is a site that's been spammed to the top by, just who knows, just people doing whatever. I think it's a strange phenomenon, and I'm sure like some of the other sites have ways to deal with it, but that's good. It's good to see that so you're making use of machine learning. I didn't know you had that background too. That's pretty cool too. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So as far as the front end goes, now we've got this algorithm, which maybe you could talk a little bit about the algorithm. Like, what is because most people, when they hear that word, they start to think automatically that it means censorship. It's just the way it's been in the news in the last few years. Algorithm equals censorship to people. So Timpi is not about censorship. It's about showing you the actual, right, and not holding back. So the algorithm in this case is, what is it? How would you define it?
The algorithm is entirely content driven. So that means that it looks into the content of a web page, but in a way that you do not go back a decade where you can spam a search word into your web page in some hidden areas and have it 200 times. It is really an AI model again, which identifies the content and how is the content important to the search word and how is it related to the search word. So we have, for example, word vector AIs, and without going into detail, it is more about, does this web page has good content that helps the user to find what it's looking for. And that's not just on a keyword. It is the whole web page itself. And then, of course, we do have the cybersecurity rating, the user rating. Our algorithm at this stage is close to two dozen, so around 20 indicators. It's made of 20 indicators, which then decides the ranking. But the ranking is never been based on ads or based on payments or based on who has the shiniest web page. It has nothing to do with that, basically.
Okay, that's interesting too, because like we were talking about earlier, it boils every website down to the words. So this is using AI machine learning to determine the content. So depending on what you type in, it's going to give you a search result based on the content that it's scraped from all of the searches.
Yeah.
From the index, I should say.
From the indexation.
Great. Okay. All right. So we kind of automatically just went into what's under the hood right there. we were talking about the shiny front end. So what can we expect from a front end? I know you touched upon, this is for Gareth, a couple of those features that would be there, the ratings and the security features. Does it need to have anything else? I mean, is it, just to type in your search phrase here and hit enter? Is that like?
Yeah, so we've taken a holistic approach in the design, and I will note that the designs that we've put out to date are beta. So we're currently looking at purely the functionality of the system at the moment, not necessarily the actual final design, right? So the design's still a bit rough, but it all works. Even now, it all actually works. Pre-IDO, we've got a working system that we can demo, which is great. But the core functionality is there. So we've spoken, as you said, we've spoken about the cybersecurity, we've spoken about the reviews. The other elements that are unique to Timpi are some simple things, just to help users out. So the search results can concertina, so they can they expand and contract per domain. So it means that when you get your search results back, you won't get a full page of just one domain. It will combine all of those and concertina them up into just 2 results. And so you'll see 2 results maximum on the first page for each domain. And that's just like a nice user-friendly aspect to this to make everyone's lives a bit easier, because what's the point really in just having a page full of or the full domain of a single domain, should I say?
Right.
Now, if you wanted to go into more detail just for that domain, it's just a simple click of the button, and you can actually deep dive into that domain. So we're kind of layering those results. The other element is around advertising. So unlike Google, we don't have any inline advertising. When you Google a topic, you will get the websites related to that topic in order of their relevance to that topic. There won't be adverts at the top. You then won't get loads of maps and images. Google now, you have to scroll right down to the bottom of the page to actually see a first genuine result. Mm-hmm. With Tympy, that's not the case. You'll get a list, an accurate list related to your search term with no inline advertising. We have advertising to the side, but the actual results will be unbiased and unadulterated, always.
That's one thing that maybe most people don't really realize is that the top 10 sometimes search results are often those companies that are advertising with, whether that be Google or Bing or whatever search engine you're running. So they get top billing, as it were. And like you said, you have to scroll down to start seeing actual search results.
Yeah.
I remember that early on.
In the example that we're running at the moment, we looked at the search term computer, and there was only one genuine search result, and that was right at the bottom of the page. Everything else was adverts, business locations, images, and then you get to an actual search result.
Yeah.
So it's, we're going back to how Google was at the beginning, when they actually showed genuine search results.
Yeah, back when they had that sort of motto, "Don't be evil."
Yeah.
That's very interesting. The thing that came to mind about those early days was, I remember when they first started charging for keywords, that you would pay a monthly whatever for certain keywords so that it would come to your specific website. And I don't know if they did that geographically or if they did that just by one keyword, but just like with domains, the more simple they are, the more, what's the word? I want to say vulgar or profane, but that always comes off wrong. But the more profane the word, without being a curse word, the more expensive it is. The more you pay for that. So if you wanted the Cat in the Hat as your website, forget it. You're going to pay tens of thousands of dollars. Not to mention, you probably have to pay a copyright for Dr. Seuss. But so you've got very interesting features on the front end, and while it's in beta right now, down the road, I'm sure it'll get some glitz and glamour. But for what's under the hood, you've got these collectors, guardians, and geocores, right? Yeah. So I think you've explained the collectors as those that do the actual web crawling and collecting the data. And then the guardians are the ones who store that data. So what is this last component here, the Geocore?
So the Geocore is the brain, you can say. It coordinates the connections, the integrity of information, but it's also used to remove one of the biggest challenges for decentralization, and that's the location part. So what we can't afford on a search engine is that someone searches for a word and we request information from a geocore that is around the world on the other side. So that would add a lot of latency.
Yeah.
So what the Geocore does is it has a network of its closest, or it knows its closest guardians, so where the data is stored, and then when a user comes onto the web page automatically connects to the closest Geocore, and the Geocore knows where the closest guardian nodes are. So the latency is removed in this case. We also have on the Geocore the redundancy built in. So if one Geocore fails in a decentralized network, can always happen. The Geocore basically has a management that allows us to have redundancies built in, also latencies and stuff like that. The Geocore also holds a small, that's not that small, but a couple of 100,000 pages in terms of cached search results. So if you look at the user behavior, you have quite often the same search terms popping up during the day. So the Geocore is managing a cache where we can cache search results, very short-lived, of course, not on a hard disk. It's just in the memory.
Mm-hmm.
But that allows us to serve a lot of search words within 2 or 3 milliseconds, because it's out of the cache. Only if we don't.
That's a great idea. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because
So the
this way,
Geocore-
if there's specific current events that are taking place, and everybody is, for instance, typing in Russia or Ukraine or something,
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
that data within 2 or 3 milliseconds.
Yeah, so that's the cache. It also engages the AI models and a lot of other tasks. So you can say the Geocore is the brain of the solution.
Okay. Very interesting. And so it seems to be doing a little bit of load balancing and traffic direction and all of that, just to make sure you get your fastest results. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I guess,
And it's also already in development.
it's already what?
Sorry? It's already in development. We already have the closed beta version of the solution. So.
Okay. So it's just a matter of time before we start to use it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we will start. We will roll out public beta versions in short time, and we'll release the software in terms of the beta. Yeah.
Do we have any idea of like a time frame?
Yep. So the Tympy webpage itself will be completely public, go live end of this year.
Okay.
We will have the collector as the first public beta, closed beta testing. That means a group of contributors can join the beta program, and that will be in second quarter. So just in a couple of weeks' time, basically.
Okay. Great. Cool. Well, I'll have to try and see if I can get in on that. That sounds like a lot of interesting technology to kind of test out. So with these particular programs, we mentioned earlier that they would run on basically any computer, right?
Yeah.
And there is a crypto component to this, the blockchain side, right? And
Yes.
that's with Cadena. And so I take it you're running your own token for Timpi?
That's correct, yes. And that token's going to be used for both rewards and payment for advertising and we've had a 10-minute pop-up warning.
Yeah, see that. Sorry about that. That's my fault.
For advertising and also API licenses. So, and that really creates the utility of the token. So we've got money coming in and then money going out, because we're not going to mint anymore. It's not a minting token. It's going to be a fixed supply of 200 million. And so we need to make sure that there's constant flow of the token coming into the system and then that being distributed out as rewards. And so the collectors and the guardians initially will be receiving rewards for their contribution, and then we'll open that up to Geocore in addition to that.
Okay.
And they'll get a share of the revenue, basically. So as we grow, then we want to reward and grow the collectors and guardians, Geocore, the contributors as well. So we want it to be rewarding for everyone.
Excellent. So they'll get a portion of rewards for running the software?
They get a proportion of the revenue.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, our revenue at the beginning will be in advertising and API licenses, and then a percentage of that will be taken and distributed as a rewards for people who contribute to the network.
And that will be distributed as Tympy tokens?
Correct. Yeah, it's all Tympy. All Tympy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And that's running on the Cadena blockchain.
It's going to be running on Cadena and Ethereum.
And Ethereum. Okay. All right. So you'll have
So
two options.
Multi-chain. Correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any plans for additional chains besides that?
I think it would make sense, but we're not releasing information about that yet.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm not gonna. That's okay. You guys, you share what you're ready to share. That's fine. So,
well, it would make sense because the Tympy's going to be huge, right? So we're going to be a globally recognized brand, and we want to reach as many people as possible. So we don't want to, restrict who can participate. And so I think whilst Cadena's an amazing network, it's growing fast, and we're very proud to be at the early stages of Cadena. However, Ethereum is established and a much wider network. And each network provides different functionality, utility, and a different audience. And so it really makes sense for us to be multi-chain.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that Cadena really makes a lot of sense because of its low transaction fees and the very reasonable smart contract fees. So that makes a lot of sense. Good. Now,
I wanted to add one part to the blockchain and Cadena. So how we use Cadena blockchain as well is for the transactional storage. So everything which is transactional and that we need to hold and have proof of, that will be stored onto the blockchain itself. So we have two parts where we have the storage of the guardians. That's the internet storage, you can say. But what we use the blockchain for is for transactions. So when we do something, who is contributing, what, when, how much, that's basically what we use Cadena and the blockchain for.
Okay, that's brilliant because this way it can't be changed.
Yeah, and that's what we want to keep. So to keep a record of how many pages a collector collected, and what time frame, and so on. That's what we use the blockchain for. So it's
brilliant. That way, and those people who are contributing, then they will be able to have confidence in knowing that while this is stored on the blockchain, it can't be changed. So whatever they contributed is definitely going to be there, and whatever they received in rewards will also be there.
Yeah, because you can cross-reference and check, and so we don't hide anything. So that's why we use the blockchain for our transactional records.
Okay, great. So I guess one of the last parts here, because you're on the core and I'm from Flux, so we've got, we've had an announcement here, about a partnership. So maybe you could tell us real quick what you're planning to do with the Flux network.
Okay, Gareth, do you want to start?
Yeah. So when we initially looked at Cadena and then obviously Flux at the same time, because you guys are making a lot of progress with Cadena and really well respected in the community. It seemed an obvious partnership for both of us because we are building a decentralized network of nodes for the collectors, guardians, and Geocore that we've just discussed. And we want it to be available and accessible by as many people as possible. And so as part of that, it makes complete sense that it should be able to run on Flux. And it's been designed in such a way that enables us to do that. You can go into more detail of how and why that's the case. But yeah, we're excited to work with you guys, not only because of the technology, but also from a philosophical perspective in what you guys are doing within the decentralized space and what we believe in as well. There's a great synergy between both of our philosophies as well.
That's good to hear. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we like the idea of decentralizing the world. So, definitely makes a lot of sense to put a decentralized search engine on the Flux network. So, good. And with the recent upgrades, we should be able to provide plenty of power and processing power and computation for whatever apps that you need to run on there, including a front end if that's something that you wanted to look into, because of course you'd be decentralizing your front end too.
Yeah,
we'll be doing front end. In fact, we're already talking about how we can get that through for our IDO site. So we'll be doing that straight away. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so that might be sooner than later.
Yeah.
All right. And so that's a partnership with Flux Labs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
So yeah, Flux Labs is is an incubator, really. So we were working together to see how we can grow that synergy. So very exciting stuff. I really love that, and so glad to have you on board. And really looking forward to seeing that beta, if I can get my hands on that. If not, then by the end of the year, we'll see the project ready to go live, right?
We'll get you on beta.
Okay,
sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So with all the partners and the people who we're working closely with and our community as well, so we're going to have a beta competition. We want to have your feedback, and we're really interested and also really excited to share what we've got. We are well into development for a project that's pre-IDO. We're well into development, and we are technology driven. So we want to build this tech. We're interested and excited and passionate about what we're doing. So yeah, we're building the tech. We're not waiting. It's happening.
Nope.
And
well,
we're excited to start sharing that with people.
It's been said before.
There'll be a video out this week, hopefully, showing a bit more about how it's all working, and we'll show live search results. We'll show the collector working. And we'll show it all working in more detail, and that'll be out in the next week. And then we'll get people into beta. It's going to be an exciting few weeks.
Cool. Great. Well, then I'm so glad that you were able to join us at this stage in the game, because here we are right at the beginning of when things are going to start to become visible. And so people need to stay on the lookout for Timpi. Now, what's the best way for them to read up about you or to learn more information about Timpi?
So the best way would be to join our Twitter and Telegram. We're updating those on a daily basis. There's announcements being made around IDO dates, which we'll be making an announcement today, actually. I can give you dates now, actually.
Well, what are those addresses so people can follow?
So good question. So on Telegram, we are Tympy Me. Okay. All one word. I'm sure we can put a link somewhere down in the description. Right?
Absolutely.
And for Twitter, it's Tympy the New Way.
Tympy the New Way. Okay, good. And do you have a website we can check out too?
Website is ido.tympy.io.
All right, so we got the web information, and now since this is an IDO with KD Launch, any information about that's coming up that we should know about?
Yes, so the IDO with KD Launch will be on the 31st. They're opening up to KYC on the 28th, and the IDO duration will be 10 days. So they've got their phased approach, but make sure you're getting and going through the KYC process with KDL from the 28th, and then the actual IDO will start on the 31st.
Okay, great. So more information at their website. We'll leave links down below. And once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have you here on The Core, and I hope that we'll see you again real soon. Wish you great success.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.